Okay, so we're back, and hopefully this time it's going to work. Um, well, technology has its pitfalls. Not all of us are. Well, you never know what's going to go right and what's going to go wrong. So this time, as I was saying, we're going to be talking about home delivery and about what needs to be done from the restaurant's point of view. Let me just add Rahul. Fingers crossed that it will work this time.
Hi, Antoine.
There we are. Hey, Rahul.
Sorry about the technical due to these things. Anyway,
No
hi.
problem, no problem. It happens to the best of us. So, but good. I'm glad that you are alive and we are finally there. I think we'll just hope everyone will rejoin now. Um,
Okay.
so great. Let me just do a quick introduction to Rahul. So just hang on. So Rahul's been, he's a director of Mr. Chow's, which is about a 14-year-old Chinese home delivery service in Bombay. And he's been actually in the food industry for quite a while. He's an alumni of Sapphire Polytech, pretty much like me, but I think about, what about, not about a decade earlier, 1986 was it?
86.
No? Okay, so
86.
just about 6 years before me, not that much of a difference. And he has trained and worked at various hotels and restaurants across the world, actually. He's done the Blue Elephant Cooking School in Bangkok. He was trained by chefs at Summer Pavilion and the Ritz-Carlton Shanghai. And he has studied bakery and cake artistry at Mary Ford's Cake Artistry in Bournemouth in United Kingdom. I didn't know that part about you, Rahul. I always thought you were more of an Asian and European food person, but that's an interesting facet to you. So, Rahul, I'm guessing that you eat out a lot in Bombay. You're familiar both with the delivery
Since birth,
and
thank you. If we could say
since
that.
birth. Okay, okay. So, how many times a week or a month do you go out usually?
Well, not more than 10 a week.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Oh, okay. And when you
Sorry. I think
started, yeah, there's a bit of a problem with your signal. When you started Mr. Chow's, there wasn't, I don't think there was anybody else in the market at that particular time. There were a home delivery of, I think in the 90s we had home delivery, but not at that time. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. So we started in around 2007, and at that time we felt there was nobody doing good upscale Chinese food only for home delivery, and which
Right.
would that was the reason we started it at that point. Good ingredients at affordable prices. That was the policy. That's how we got into this delivery only of home delivery.
Okay. So you're an established player in the market, but with the pandemic, with the closing down of restaurants, of particularly fine dining and five-star places, these were institutions that actually didn't kind of get into the home delivery. They stayed away from the home delivery, but now they're being forced to get into it. What has been your experience of it? Have you ordered from any of the five-star places or any of the five dining places since the pandemic started?
Yeah, yeah, of course. I mean, right from the beginning, of course, we were operating throughout the lockdown. I mean, I don't think there was a day that we closed down during the lockdown either. Apart from them, that being a foodie, I want to eat food from everywhere. So I've been ordering from in Bombay from Royal China or Foo, and we bought even a couple of times Golden Dragon and all kind of food basically.
Okay. Okay. Now, one of the
So yeah,
questions.
I've been eating ordering quite a bit. Even Indian food I've been ordering from copper chimneys and
Yeah.
Shere Punjab and things like.
Okay. Okay. So, one of the things that's in my mind, and I'm sure that's in a lot of people's mind as well, is how well does the restaurant experience actually translate into home delivery? You know, when you go into a restaurant, you have you have a certain kind of an experience, which is not only about the food, which is about a lot of other things. But when you come to home delivery, you've stripped out everything else, and it's only focused on the food. So, how has that been for you? As in, how have you responded to it?
Well, the way I see the experience of most people is that when you are used to eat and say in a certain kind of a restaurant, you order food home from there, and for some reason it may be the same food. There is no difference in the food, but it doesn't feel the same. That probably is because going into that restaurant is a completely different experience by itself, right from
Hmm.
entering the restaurant to the service to everything. Whereas a home delivery meal is always a home delivery meal. You don't have other kind of a meal.
Right.
So with restaurant food which comes home, you have a certain preconceived idea of what you expect, and that may not translate to the same thing.
Yeah. Why do you feel that it doesn't translate? You know, what is it that makes a difference apart from just sitting in the restaurant?
Of course, one is the whole atmosphere, the experience, and also the food that you eat in the restaurant is coming straight from the kitchen to the table.
Hmm. Hmm.
And so, and there is a difference at time lag, you travel, packaging, everything goes into that meal reaching you at home. So
Hmm.
there is going to be a difference in
Okay.
the meal
Okay.
that you have at restaurant and then you order that food at home. There, I mean, is bound to be that little difference. Especially
Okay.
food like Chinese food, you may not find
Hmm.
that in India and other kinds of food. But
Yeah, that
yes,
was what I was going to come to. I think there are some cuisines that translate well into home delivery, and some that you really need to think about what you're putting on the menu.
true, true, absolutely right.
Yeah. So Indian, I think we can quite safely say it does, but I don't know. Maybe some elements of Chinese do. I think the mains and the rice too. I'm not so sure it works so well with the starters.
Well, I would say not starters definitely, but even the main course, you have to tweak the recipes to make sure that the sauces don't congeal and things like that when it's Chinese. Indian is completely different.
Right.
In Chinese, of course, the starters itself, most of the Chinese starters, apart from dim sum, I mean, there are fried starters and steamed dim sum and those kind of starters.
Hmm.
Both actually uh, are not conducive really to a home delivery segment. And definitely not starters like a crispy spinach or something like that. I don't have that on my menu because it will definitely not travel well. We are
Right.
doing spring rolls, wonton stuff. If you package them properly, not in plastic, container, airtight containers and all. If you package them properly, they at least travel fairly well.
Right.
There are certain starters or main courses also which may not travel well at all.
Really.
So we don't have them.
Okay. Okay. Now, I'm sure you've ordered from some of the Chinese places, like Golden Dragon or like I think you mentioned Fu and Coco as well. Uh, do you
Right.
think that what they are doing with their food? I haven't ordered, so have they taken straight stuff from the menu itself and they put onto home delivery, or have they curated a new menu?
See, what has happened in the lockdown, which we've also faced, is a lot of shortages of ingredients and all. So I think most of the restaurants who have started doing home delivery during the lockdown, the menu is orchestrated around the supplies or probably towards the home delivery aspect. I don't know how they've thought it through.
Right.
So, I mean, I don't, yeah. That is,
Yeah.
and the menus are not their usual menus. If you look at the home delivery menus of most of these restaurants, it's not their usual menus. I've been
Okay.
I'm a fan of mutton, especially if I'm ordering from an Indian restaurant. Mutton has been in a short supply even for us. So it's very rare to find mutton dish on any of the home delivery menus right now. That's one example
Okay.
which is there.
Okay. Okay. So it's not simply a question of planning for how well the food travels, but it's also a logistic and a supply issue. And I'm sure to a certain extent it will also be a labor issue because a lot of the staff has moved away from the cities.
True. Well, in our case, what happens is we have allocated accommodation for our staff right next to our kitchens, and all our
Okay.
staff stays in there. So there was no traveling issue and those kind of health hazards for our staff. They were right there and they were coming. We didn't have so much of an staff issue, but I'm sure a lot of restaurants have had staff issues. And as I
Okay.
said, we ran out the lockdown, so
Hmm.
I mean we didn't have so much of an issue with the staff.
Okay. 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 But there is still a problem with ingredients, and I think there is a problem with the consistency of supply.
Still, yes, definitely, slightly.
Okay.
It is
Okay.
improving, has improved what it was right in the beginning. It's much better now, but it's still not normalized yet.
Okay, okay. So, what do you feel? I mean, when a lot of restaurants have no choice but to get into this segment, to get into delivery and takeaway, they need to get some kind of income coming in. Um, as someone who is familiar with the delivery space, who's kind of worked on various aspects of it, what would you recommend to people getting in over here? How do you suppose? How would you recommend they approach this problem really?
You're talking of restaurants, right?
Yeah, yeah. Restaurants
Restaurants
that didn't
getting.
do, yeah,
So, I mean, the home delivery segment, main thing would be that when a guest is sitting at home, they expect a certain kind of maybe a price reduction, you call it, or some difference in the price that they would pay in a restaurant. That is one thing. Number
hmm,
two, as I if let's say a copper chimney is going into home delivery, they expect the same food that they eat over there to be served at your table.
hmm,
So when you're devising that home delivery menu, it is very imperative to make sure which dishes you're putting on that menu so that the customer doesn't complain when he gets that food at his table in the house.
hmm.
Of course, there is leeway given to certain things, like in Indian food, a roti when it reaches home. I'm
Right.
sure a guest knows that it cannot be what it is when it's served to him at the restaurant.
Hmm,
But
hmm.
it's better the restaurant management looks into these aspects so that the it's not left to the customer to decide whether this dish could have been better or not, or those kind of things to it.
Right, right. So I mean, there's an interesting point there. Like, you will order food from a restaurant because you want to look at certain dishes. There are certain dishes that you're familiar with, certain dishes that are favorites for you at the restaurant, but they may not
True.
travel well. So does it make more sense to come up with a delivery menu specifically for this period rather than just try and translate things straight from the menu?
Well, I would look at it this way, of course, for this period. But see, this is a very different kind of period. Uh, with a mindset of people, like for instance, somebody may want a particular dish. In his mind, he may compromise on the quality. He'll say, okay, when the restaurant opens, I may go back to the restaurant and eat it, and it'll be as good as it was. So that's one aspect of looking at it. But the other aspect is that another customer would say, no, whatever comes to my house should be perfect. So from that angle, it's best that you design a menu that is conducive to travel home. Once the lockdown is over, then you decide what you want to do with your home delivery menu. But at this juncture, I mean, it would be best to put your best foot forward to give the best thing to the customer in this lockdown.
So that would mean a new menu.
A new menu or maybe a reduced menu may not be.
Or reduce.
I mean, most of these restaurants have good vast menus. You pick on
Right.
your specialties and what travel well. Combine a menu and you can serve it to to the clients.
Right, right, right. And when it comes to once you go beyond the menu and you actually look at what you are doing in terms of how it's coming to you, how important do you think packaging is for something like this? Do you think you'd be okay with, for most places, with plastic containers or the regular this thing? Or do you think people need to kind of rethink that part of it as well?
See, first of all, we are thinking of moving away from plastics. We are in
Right.
the process of looking at, green options and all that. Plus, the packaging, which is done by some of the restaurants, which I've seen have, reinvented their packaging during this lockdown, is amazing.
Hmm.
And of course, the customer looks forward to a fresh, new look all the time. So definitely, it should be reinvented to make sure that, one is attractive, and secondly, hygienic. I mean, more
Right.
hygienic than the way it was perceived earlier.
Hmm. Hmm.
So there are certain restaurants which are have reinvented in such a way that it's brilliant, and I think yes, everybody should follow that path, and the customer
Okay.
would be
Okay.
very happy. Uh, yeah, of course, the
Okay.
cost
Okay.
might go up in packaging and all these aspects, but I guess the customer would expect it, and we should do it.
Well, that's an interesting thing. I mean, the price point is something also that we want to talk about. But before that, just say hi to Kunal, and I hope he's going to ask some really difficult questions while he's there and while he's listening in. Um, but yeah, so price. I mean, price is something that is a very tricky aspect of it because one is you're paying for you're paying for the experience at a restaurant. Here you've got a stripped down kind of experience only in terms of the food, but people will not be willing to pay too little, but they still not be willing to pay the same price. How do you kind of actually balance out pricing in this kind of a scenario?
So, okay, let's go back to our model, which is a home delivery model. So, when we started off, the intention was that I want to serve food to my guests, food which I would eat at affordable prices. That was
Right.
the main strategy we had in mind. That the quality of food that I would eat in the best restaurants, quality of ingredients, the taste and everything, to be served at home at affordable prices. So we bridge that gap. So you don't need to think twice that you are spending restaurant prices to eat good quality food at home.
Right.
So I mean that is the main thing. So I don't know if restaurants want to go into this do home delivery. Sometimes I think the price point is crucial because people would think that if I'm not going to that restaurant, I mean, why am I paying the same price as
Right.
the restaurant prices?
Hmm.
Especially
Yeah.
abroad, if you notice, a lot of restaurants have that reduction in service charge and all that if you order in home delivery. That's not the case in
Yeah.
India, but yeah.
Yeah, actually, for me, I've been kind of really thinking about the problem from the five-star point of view, because I think the restaurants with standalones, you can play around a little bit, but with the five
True.
stars, it becomes even more trickier because I don't know how much flexibility they have, for instance, in terms of reducing prices. I don't know how comfortable any of us would be to pay something that's substantially less, and yet, in the long term, I don't see us wanting to continuously pay those high prices.
True. So you're talking now. We are talking of the 5 stars you're talking about, right?
Yeah, yeah,
See, the overhead structure, I guess, in a 5 star is completely. There are 2 points: whether they want to dilute that. I'm not, but whether they want to get into that affordable bracket for home delivery, or they want to stay where they are and let people who want to pay those prices order home. I don't know which
hmm.
perspective they would go into this home delivery trend with. At the moment,
Hmm.
of course, they would want to, serve their food. Since the restaurants are not open, they would want to continue with their deliveries and all. But as of now, at least, I don't think there is any change in that kind of pricing or anything. But
Yeah.
it's
I think
difficult to
Kunal's
say who would look at this whole thing.
Yeah, I think Kunal's basically asking the same question. I mean, if Golden Dragon is doing home delivery, should they be charging less than the regular menu price? I mean, what
Well,
was your experience? Sorry,
ideally, yes. I mean, if they want to enter that market, the question is whether they
hmm,
want to enter that market.
yeah.
If they want to enter
Well,
that market, they will have to take they will have to reduce the price. Or are they
okay,
doing it only because of down and they want to do deliveries to their regular guests? Like, for instance, I mean, the dishes which we ordered from Golden Dragon were dishes which we enjoy over there.
right.
Normally, that is the reason why you would order from there. And we've done it a
Yeah,
couple of times. But at the same time, that price thing does come in the mind.
yeah. We have another question, which is about the delivery time. And do you think it's still important to stick within that 30 minutes as has been the case before? Or do you think that there is more of a flexibility now in terms of the delivery this thing window?
I think this 30-minute concept obviously trickled in with the pizzas that came in. And
Right.
in line with that, we started our home delivery business. We tried to say 30 to 40 minutes. But we are very particular that our order takers give a realistic time to the customer of how long it is going to take.
Hmm,
Because
hmm.
for food like ours, it's not always, and especially on busy days like Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, it's very difficult to that timing with the number of orders that are there, the vast menu that we have, and everything. So it's not always possible. I think the customer understands that, but the customer wants to know at the inception when he's placing the order as to how long it's going to take. And that commitment that you mentioned at that point is most important. You could tell him,
Okay.
sir, today I can't deliver within 1 hour, I'm going to take 1.5 hours. Then it's his
Hmm.
choice to go ahead with that order or not. And if you say 1.5 hours, he's willing to wait that 1.5 hours, then you better serve in that 1.5 hours. It's
Okay.
crucial that you keep to the time frame that you commit more than it being 35 minutes or 40 minutes. I don't think a customer who's ordering Chinese food would presume that the food is going to come in 45 minutes.
Right.
But
Fair
he
enough.
should know when he's going to receive that parcel of food.
But do you feel that customers are being more flexible now? That I mean, they know that everyone's going through stress, or is it? Do you find that they are being more
Sorry, can
particular,
you?
or because because they're stuck at home and food now is the only kind of entertainment for them? I mean, which way do you find attitude swinging?
No, no, sorry, I couldn't hear you in between. What was the question?
So I said, yeah,
You broke in between.
I have customers become more flexible in the pandemic in terms of either what is available to them or delivery timings, or is it that because now food has sort of become a little bit more central and has become more of an entertainment and something engaging, are they more fastidious, are they more particular about the experience?
If you're, I mean, if you're talking, are you talking the delivery time? You're talking quality of food, or you're talking the whole experience together? I
Well, let's
think
let's say the
as you
delivery time more, and well, yeah, more the
so
delivery time that.
delivery time, as I said, they wanted. See, there are two kinds of orders that we get. One, somebody will call us at 6:30 and say, "Okay, I'm having dinner at 9 o'clock. Send us dinner at that time." Being Chinese food, it's not always like a pizza that they call and say, "Oh, we want it right now." But at the same time, if you tell him, I'm again repeating myself, but if you tell him, okay, I'm going to send it in this time frame, they are okay with it. I don't think that they are that rigid with it, unless somebody is in a hurry, tearing hurry, family. So, those kind of things. But I think people are more understanding in this scenario because they know that even the restaurants and the home delivery operators are operating with constraints. Everybody is
Hmm,
operating with constraints right now. So I
hmm.
think by and large, crowd is more understanding.
Okay, okay. And do you see this as being something that people will continue to do after the lockdown is removed? As once restaurants reopen, do you think we will continue to live with this delivery scenario, or will we go back to the regular restaurants and dining in?
See, the point here, where we are concerned, my experience with this was like, we being in the business for over 12, 13 years, we have a great solid database and our regular customers coming back to us, who have always been with us. Thanks to the lockdown, our customers and, social media and everything has brought us newer customers who are satisfied and were surprised that they didn't know us earlier. I'm sure it's
Hmm.
going to continue. I don't see it, tapering off. And there is always, people wanting food. So I don't see it changing the trend too much.
And do you see that continuing also for the restaurants, standalone restaurants, and even for five stars to continuing with delivery later on after things go back to normal?
See, but five stars now, the way I thought of ordering Golden Dragon food or Trattoria food or maybe Thai Pavilion is that, yes, I'm craving for that food and I'd rather have it at home than not having it. But if the restaurants are open, I would rather go there. I mean,
Okay.
if I don't get a reservation today at Golden Dragon, I'll say, okay, if I'm not getting a reservation, maybe I'll go tomorrow and eat that food there rather than calling it home. One is sitting and, as I said, the experience itself is completely different.
Right, right, right. Uh, okay, so Kunal has one more question. I think about aggregators and are they behaving better? But I don't know whether that has changed very much from them. They've been giving a hard time, and I think they're making a lot, taking advantage of things more than anything else.
Yeah, it is difficult. I mean, it is difficult. I mean, I'm sure everybody has seen, there are, after the final price of the menu, you have added a rain surcharge and packing surcharge, blah, 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 adding to your bill, which we as restaurateurs don't impose on the customers.
Right, right. Now, actually, this is a question that I asked someone else, talking in the context really of home entrepreneurs who are now getting into the delivery space, and that's also been an interesting opportunity. And I was asking whether it's worth tying up with aggregators or whether it's better to invest in your own delivery service. What is your opinion on this?
Earlier, prior to us joining in hands with Swiggy, Zomato, or whatever, there were these agencies which had started deliveries. And, rather we at that point had thought whether we could do away with our delivery boys. But they were so erratic and everything that ultimately we are happy keeping our own delivery boys. Even
Okay.
today, though we have a lot of business coming in through the aggregators, we have our own delivery boys. Of course, for these, home cooks who are doing food from home and all, I'm not sure how feasible it is for them to have their own delivery setup. But a lot of people are doing it just now. This company called VFast has suddenly gained popularity. And
Right,
a
right.
lot
Yeah.
of people are using it to do deliveries and are very happy with it.
Right. Yeah, but that still seems to be a little bit shaky. I think the big guys have got it really packed down, and not simply just delivery, but also the marketing and reaching out
Of
to customers as
course, absolutely.
so. But of course, there is a huge price to pay to kind of to make use of those services.
Of course, definitely.
Yeah.
But that's but usually, I mean, these VFast charges and all, most of these people who are doing it from home, letting the clients pay that whole amount, which is completely added on as an add-on. It is not, part of the food bill or whatever it is.
Okay.
But I'm not
Uh,
sure. I, I,
Sorry, you're not
I'm
sure?
not sure I'm not sure I've not seen the aggregators having any, unless the name is hidden. I don't know whether there are any of these home people who've tied up with the aggregators. I've not, let me put it, I've not noticed or I don't know.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Uh,
Sure.
so
Are you aware of any of these, home
I
cooks
think a lot of
who
people
have been?
have gone on to Swiggy. I think they found Swiggy as a better option for when you're doing limited menus, and fixed menus, a certain amount for the day. I found a lot of people have kind of helped work. I found some people, not a lot, some people tying up with Swiggy, but largely I found new people working with VFast. It's not the best
True.
service, but I think it's not the best service, but it
That's
seems to be the one that is the most popular. But
as spot on.
Rahul,
Yes.
just to wrap things up, do you see that the delivery market being very crowded right now, or do you see that it's actually opened up new spaces and new players that perhaps were never there before?
Bombay is a huge market. I don't see it overcrowded. I'm glad that people are getting that exposure, and this, I mean, sort of given a new boost to this. These people who started cooking at home, trying to sell their products. It's a good thing. It's been very. I mean, it's sort of a blessing in disguise. So I don't know what to call it. That people have just sprung up, and I remember every day. When the lockdown started, I used to see there was that time Scootsie was also alive. Scootsie and Swiggy. I used to go every day and check. I remember a time when there were like 4 restaurants, 5 restaurants. Today, I think more than on Swiggy. Of course, Scootsie is gone. There are more than log in the afternoon at lunchtime or evening dinner time. There are more than
Hmm.
400 odd restaurants. I'm glad. I think Bombay has the capacity to absorb all that. So why not?
Yeah. So
More
has
merrier.
this?
And keep, all the it keeps restaurateur on his toes where quality is concerned, and being consistent and everything. So it's good. Competition is
Yeah, actually,
always good.
that's what I was going to ask you. Has it may forced you to up your game?
See, as I said, we being in this segment for such a long time, I mean, we there was not much that we needed to do during this time, but we were glad that the customer base went on increasing after lockdown started. As I said, uh, right in the beginning, Swiggy's Kutsi was at zero, and we were delivering. There are a lot of people who didn't know, and slowly, social media, everything, and our orders continued, so which is a good thing. So we didn't
Okay.
have too much of, apart from the supply chain, we did not have too much of any other issues.
Yeah, okay.
Of course, the
Well, Rahul,
aggregators not
yeah. Well, if there's anything else you'd like to add, I mean, otherwise we're kind of good for time. We've covered up a lot of the area that I wanted to cover when we I decided on this topic, and I think what's kind of I think just to sum up, I think what I would say is that it's a slightly tricky issue in terms of how you put that menu together, in terms of how you choose.
yeah,
Uh, it is you've got to balance out between popular and what is the most feasible in terms of deliveries. So there needs to be some
correct.
act of curation that has to be done on the part of restaurants. It's not simply that they can just translate whatever is their popular dishes or whatever is their whole menu, and maybe even they need to cut down and kind of focus their menus when they're coming.
You keep to reinvent your menu now and then.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
mean, seeing the trend, what the your customer base is expecting, you need to keep reinventing your menu all the time. You can't sit
yeah.
back with the menu.
Well, great. I mean, that's actually a really great sign because the more people reinvent, the more new dishes that they come out with, the better for customers. I mean, there's new things to explore. There's always a reason then to come back and to try out something new and to discover new flavors and new ideas. So, Rahul, thank
Sure.
you so much for joining me and for sharing your experience and your insight into this. Thank you, everyone, for being a part of this evening as well. I know it's a good day, actually, good evening to be in the house in Bombay, at least, with this weather. But so, thank you, everyone, and as usual, stay safe and stay well. Thanks a lot, guys.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay.
Okay.